Second.
Second, trustee Pell, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's go back to work session.
Hey, Rob, come on up here.
Right now?
Yep, you're up. 373 Millstone, North Sea. Is that you?
Doesn't sound like me.
No, it's not you.
It's not
It's
you.
Designs.
It's Jim.
It's Jim Walker.
I'll do Jim's for him.
That's what happens when you have bifocals on. Where did Jim stay or did he leave?
He was impressed with what we do, Scott.
Yeah.
James. Is Jim out
He's
there?
on his way.
Jim is?
Who?
No. James. Is Jim Walker out there? Do you have his phone?
No, I only have Insights' number.
Me too.
Let's do National Golf.
Jim had to leave.
He had 11 o'clock
What?
meeting?
Yeah, 11 o'clock meetings.
You want to do?
All right.
So he's on hold.
Okay.
Let's do National Golf Links, 308 Sebonic Inlet Road, Tuckahoe.
Thanks, Charles.
JMO.
JOMO. Come on up.
Wait, Rob said he had 11 o'clock meeting though.
Rob said he had 11? No.
Who is an 11
We got
o'clock
JMO
meeting?
right here.
Yes.
Jim Walker.
Yeah, I think somebody else does too though. We'll just have to ask him.
How are you?
Good, how's everyone doing?
Good, good. Application proposed to construct a 4x6 ramp leading to a 4x85-foot fixed dock utilized by a through-flow decking. Grade to marsh to a 3x12 ramp to a 6x40 float. This is National Golf Course. Hey, James, can you do an overhead shot of this, please? Met with him a few times down at the location.
So where exactly is the location? Because there's a,
This.
right, but where's the
It's
proposed
gonna
location?
be back in the corner there.
Let me pull
So
up the
in-
plan here.
Yeah.
So it'll be in
So
here.
there's
Right there.
Right there.
deteriorated bulkhead there now.
Yeah.
The whole entire shoreline has deteriorated, okay.
The
So-
deteriorated bulkhead, I would just cut it down, I would not take it out, because it actually holds it from falling in. It's like a breakwater in there.
Yeah, we've gone over that on the site there.
Yeah, and there's a huge hole in there. They want to put it in a, if they go over, I think about 40 feet, I think I paced it out, that's where you're gonna put the dock.
So back in the day,
There was a marina there.
there were docks here. There's a
Yes.
significant current that flows through here.
No, not here. This is kind of like a.
This
off the-
is in the belly.
Yeah, this is
It's
kind
way
of
back.
like. Yeah, this is kind of like a calmer area there.
But there is a current, like Ann says, what goes through there. And that's one of its really important to keep that old bulkhead there. As like a low sill bulkhead,
Just cut it down then?
yeah. There's some stuff in the water there where I found clamming. But it's mostly a little bit to the east of where that dock is.
Okay.
So this is a heavily used recreational, if you go back to the aerial. I mean, this area is heavily used. I think perhaps that this has to be a public hearing.
Good.
Because if you go down there practically any day, there are people fishing, there,
Not
No,
fishing,
like
they're
there's-
not fishing where that is. Only
no,
one who
but
really uses.
along, oh, you're right,
the only
along
one-
that
Yeah, they
area.
don't go fishing on the bulkhead, because they're not allowed on the bulkhead. They start up by the north end of that bulkhead and walk north around on the beach. What that area is used for, you see people with the, doing yoga on
On the mats there.
the stand-up boards and, you know. Paddle boards.
Is this gonna affect any of that? Because people are putting docks all over them.
I think that this is a significant change in this
we could do a
landscape
public
and
hearing.
in the use.
There had
I
been, historically,
think-
there had been two docks further along.
Yes, all the
There was
time,
docks
we're gonna
there
do a public hearing on
many
every
years
dock.
ago.
Right, but,
He's doing it.
I mean, back in the
don't see a problem.
early 1900s, there were for sure, but, and
Because we do
then
these
more
all the
recently.
time.
Yeah.
They said it was a huge mooring area too for very large sailboats back.
Yeah,
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Two centuries, late 1800s,
Yep.
early
Well,
1900s.
we're not getting out that far, right? We're gonna get to the 2.5, the standard.
Try to keep it tight.
Right, so so sailboats are, you know, they're still gonna be able to do all that, but,
Looks like they're a little further than 2.5.
well, where are we at Blue Book regulation wise here?
And also, it's 40 foot, where it should be 20 foot.
Yeah,
All right, so-
you can go with
this
a much
is-
shorter dock
Right, so
there.
you,
Yeah.
Keep it inside that
right,
little
so,
dugout.
so you gotta clip this to the Blue Book regulation of things that we customarily would approve, not,
See, the reason they want to do with, because I originally asked
We
to
gotta let
cut
Mark
it down
know.
to 2 docks or 3 docks said, and the reason they said they, for the members who are paying for this, they come over and,
I think there should be a
Well, is it gonna be a commercial dock?
get
No,
that,
it's just for members that come over, play a round of golf, get on the boat and go home.
So it's a 6x20 float, or is it?
I put in a 6x4 hoping
yeah.
Yeah, so if it's a
to
residential.
accommodate, the
Why
bigger
is
the
it
float, the more boat, the
Yeah,
more.
it'd be a
why is it different than
6x20.
any other thing we put in
Yeah.
Shinnecock Bay or anywhere else where people
Yeah.
are kayaking and clamming and all
Yeah.
the other stuff?
Yeah, I mean, to be consistent, it would be a 6x20 float to 2.5 feet of water. And if you put it far enough off that eastern shore, you could tie boats on both
either
sides
side.
of it. And there's not a lot of current in there, only on the first part of rising.
But with that bulkhead so close over there, you know,
We'd have to move it over a little bit
But-
if you're
yeah.
gonna use both sides of it.
yeah, I mean, well, what's the distance? Maybe it's plenty there, but it gives it a little bit of shelter is what I'm saying, so you may not have to move it, but I don't,
Because we actually also talked about putting it against the bulkhead. But this was a little bit better idea, because there's more water. Because along the bulkhead, it kind of like,
It's pretty shallow now.
it's
Right,
like-
It used
so-
to- it used to be
where
very
you've-
deep there, but
Used to be deep.
it's
but
no
where you've
longer.
cited this, you've already taken this into consideration, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time.
A lot of time, so you've taken into careful consideration of where you've cited this. I think the issue is the length,
The
right?
length and the depth of water.
I think
That's
we're,
right,
I
so
think
you
we're over
gotta-
100 feet from mean high water.
No, but you gotta bring it back to 2.5.
We only go to
You're at-
2.5.
You're at 4.9, it looks like.
Right, so you gotta bring it back to what we customarily
It
permit.
should be half the distance that's proposed.
Right, so once you cut it back to the size and you're pulling it in, it's no different than any of the other approvable structures,
That's-
right?
that's why
And I
I'm
think
here.
that's really where you need to be.
Is this land, what is it? Is it commercial land or is it residential?
Residential.
So it's residential, you can only have, Scott's right, you can only have a 20 by 40. I mean, 6 by 20.
Okay. I'll
Right,
change
so-
it.
If it was commercial, part of the golf course, then you could say it's a commercial application where you can do it. Or if it's like what we did down at Willie's Pond, where all the homeowners was like 6 lots on the road or 5 lots on the road, and they all had water rights, so we each gave each lot a slip.
Right.
That's the only other way you can do it.
Okay.
So you gotta, just revise it so that it's an
Yeah.
approvable project.
That's why,
Yeah.
that's why we're
Then
here.
it pulls back, it's much less,
Obtrusive.
yeah, it's,
It's very comparable to the docks that you showed me on that survey that you gave me.
Yeah, I don't know what scale it is, so these look like they've just been old fixed docks, because according to the survey, there'd been a clubhouse there. So I guess,
Yeah, the clubhouse is,
you
it's
see
old.
this, see it says clubhouse just below the docks?
It's the old house where
Yeah.
the Tucker House School owns.
I think that's where you can see the pipe.
okay.
There's, the water pipes are still in there, a little bit of the foundation.
Yeah.
But
They-
that-
They moved it up there, and they,
Right.
was actually, was a rowboat station there, and then part of the golf course was there.
But that was decades ago,
Yes.
many
But it's good to
decades
learn.
ago.
right.
Oh,
so
no,
you-
no, the
so you-
history's good.
You revise it to meet the Blue Book
Yeah.
regulations of what the board consistently and customarily, this is outside of that,
Yeah.
bring it back into
Yeah.
that spec.
Okay.
So,
Since it's residential, you just have the one float.
It's a-
Okay.
Then I'll meet Blue Book should not, be too much of a problem.
All right.
So this piece of land, so the access to Ram Island runs across it. So National owns up to the Ram Island driveway,
Mhm.
and then Ram Island owns the driveway and the piece to the south. So are you not considering a public hearing?
Well, if it meets the Blue
Blue
Book and
Book.
they're pulling it back from,
Right.
it's like, right now, it's looking like it's very large. Now you're coming back to Blue Book standards,
With a one
That
float,
we-
6x20 float.
that we already have had a public hearing on what our regulations are, what we customarily do, and he's pulling it back to a 6x20.
I think you said it's
You're-
gonna be a footpath at a.
You're
at a,
maintaining consistency
pine farm.
with what we customarily do.
However, with our rules around public hearings, it states that there's not significant, it's been determined that the following projects do not raise a significant degree of public interest or public input. I think that, you know, given that there are many people that use this area and that go in and out of this inlet, I think that there's public interest here.
Well, how is it gonna impede that in any way?
Yeah, I mean,
Is it gonna impede
I
that?
go out of that inlet probably 15 times a week.
Is it gonna impede
Yep.
this?
I never
It's
go
not
back
going
that
to
far.
impede, but I think there will be public interest, and I think we need to give the public the opportunity to weigh in here.
How does that translate to consistency of what we generally do in any other application? Or are we gonna trigger a public hearing on every single one of these structures throughout the entire township?
So, given that this is at the mouth of an inlet, given that this is.
It's not at the
abutting-
mouth. The
It's
mouth
just,
is
it's just
200
inside.
feet away, 300 feet
It's
away.
just inside the mouth of an inlet, given that this abuts a private property that that translates across it.
Can you put up for us to look at the plans?
So you probably can get a letter from the two brothers with no objection to it.
Yeah.
That's no big deal.
And what about the people that use the bulkhead? And that use the area, use that
The bulkhead's
road
private
end?
property, they own the bulkhead.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, not the bulkhead, the road end. The beach.
It's 600 feet away, the road end and the beach.
I think you're grasping for straws there. yeah.
I'm trying to look out for the residents of the town
Well-
and others who use this
So-
area.
So let's look at this.
I
So-
don't see any problem with having a public hearing, because I don't really see there being that big of a situation with the dock. It was a bigger situation when we approved the bulkhead there. That was a very contentious, because people were fishing down there, working with the highway department, reconstructing that beach. I mean, having a public hearing, I understand what Ann is speaking about as far as user groups. I don't see them really coming forward and speaking negatively, but at least giving them the chance to come if they want to. I mean, it would be a new dock in a spot. There hasn't been a dock there since
That's what we
the
do every day, though.
1800s. But it's a highly used area with recreational fishing, some commercial fishing. So I don't see a problem with having a public hearing. I think it would actually, clean it up and make it,
You don't think it's gonna trigger a public hearing on every single dock that we work on throughout
No,
the
but-
entire township?
No,
No, because this has a lot of different user groups that I think might want to have some input in. And I know personally, putting a dock in that area might cause some hardship for some of the local baymen to go in there, bait fishing, because that's a very productive area to go bait fishing. So if there's, that's my personal knowledge of, and clamming, is it going to interfere with anybody in that clamming? So, I'd like to have a little bit of input if those user groups want to come before us, and if they don't, we put the public hearing out, we can close it, and we can adopt it.
You have to revise your plans before you can go anywhere, because you're outside of spec,
Correct.
Yeah.
right? So I think when you look at your plans, it's quite far, but when you bring it back to what's an approvable project, it becomes much less
Okay.
of an issue.
That's what I'll do. I'll revise the plans, get them to you as soon as possible.
Okay.
So,
We don't set public hearings at this
No, we don't
stage, but-
have the material
Yeah,
until he
yeah,
has
yes,
the
the way-
revised
Yeah,
plans.
Right.
And can you get like, see how the GIS map is there right now? Can you overlay the dock on that?
I could probably
So
make
so
it-
we can have a good concept of what you're proposing here?
I could do that.
Yeah. Right, James?
Back to the drawing board.
So you, just to summarize, you want a new cover sheet and plans showing the 6x20 float and bring it back to 2.5 feet of water, as well as an aerial with the proposed dock on it.
Let's, and then we'll look at it at that point in time, and then the board will have another conversation, make the determination of
fine.
how
We made some
it
sense.
looks and what makes the most sense, but we'll reserve that discussion until you at least provide a plan that's more commensurate with what is actually gonna be there, not what's there, not what you're showing now.
I think I'm walking away with this, I think, with positive outlook on it, so.
Okay.
I'll
So
revise
when we
it.
get that, then Bill will schedule it for the next
Yeah.
work session,
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
receive that stuff, and
Right.
then
All right.
you'll
Give me a
set
call
the
when you're
public
ready.
That's the most sensible way.
Yep, that's fine with me. Thank you.
All right. Who's up next?
Ed, somebody had told me to give you that, you might want to make a quick read.
Okay. Oh, Beaver Dam.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, thank you.
Yep, take care all.
Who's up next?
thank you.
I think I am.
373 North Subdivision.
I'm gonna hold that over
You
for
are
Kim.
1431 Meadow Lane.
That's on
Okay,
hold.
it's,
Kiva Goldsmith.
yep, 1431 Meadow Lane, Village of Southampton.
Hello.
Good morning, Steve Lemansky,
How's Steve
doing,
doing
Steve?
today?
above ground. It's my favorite spot,
Good answer.
That's a low bar.
right?
We have an as-built permit request for a 4x3 stairs, a 30 by .7 foot walkway to 4 feet.
Basically, it was a permit
Water.
issued, and it
Over
was
6
built
platform.
slightly different than, and then we went for a CO, and they told us that we had to go
Yes,
get the official okey-dokey, so.
yes, we're looking
Yep.
to, let's see, here they are over here.
And I submitted an updated as-built survey.
Yep.
on this
It's
last
in a
week.
dug lagoon on the north side of Dune Road. There's at least one other dock that is currently in this dug lagoon. It has adequate water depth. It's pretty much, James, it's everything compliant that we need.
Steve, could you just explain what the differences were?
Um,
Previous permit?
I think the original drawing that was approved by, that was done by InterScience,
Yeah,
had like a few steps and then a walkway that was a little bit higher that prevented them to walk from one side of their property to the other, kind of got in between, so they
Yes.
just built it a little bit lower.
Oh, so you don't have the steps for maintenance?
you don't have crossover steps and it goes from, you can walk down the middle.
Exactly. That was,
Yeah.
So it allows for public access
On the
for
beach.
pass and repass in the area of the dug lagoon.
So you
That
got
was
better
actually-
pass and repass.
Yeah, that was actually better than having the steps there.
Yeah. So,
Just matching it up
So-
to,
Correct.
So are you putting steps on the north side as well? I just,
that's the
So-
north side, right there where the arrow cursor is.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you come back up, and then when you come down, there's instead of going across at a level that would have been about, I guess, 3 feet or
yeah,
that went straight across to, you can see the last bit of the
the
steps that come
house.
down from the house.
yes.
So we just, those were down, already down at the ground, so then we just put the walkway right at grade, so we didn't have to go up and down to go from one side to the other.
it's already built, so if you want to go look at it.
Right. And it's
And-
to the west of Road D.
Right.
Yes,
And is there, there's an as-built fee that's being assessed to
Yes.
this?
I think we paid it.
Yes,
yeah.
they paid.
And so it's accessing then I'm just confused, because what I'm looking at is there's significant wetlands that are on the north side of this Dug Canal, and this,
On the,
This-
it's on the south and north side, both, and
Right.
it's a dug lagoon.
Right.
And it is a very little, small, like, almost like a drain that goes out to the bay,
right,
that you can navigate at high tide.
right. So the portion of the
That's-
walkway that's already built,
The southerly end is lower down, so you can pass and repass if you want to
Right.
walk along that meadow.
The
there.
plan
Okay.
view of the previous approved plans would look like that.
okay,
The only difference is,
It was
instead
a
of.
bridge from the house to the dock.
Right, and then it just got lowered for access from left and right.
okay. I'll go look at it.
So I'd like to move it forward.
All right.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Advance it.
I think it's a good move.
Yep.
Thank you.
See you around the
Thank you.
campus?
Yes.
Thank you, Steve.
Great, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Stan.
And they are stamped, so we can advance.
All
Thank
right,
you.
let's advance it then. Strong's Old Fort Marina LLC, 74 Little Neck Road, Shinnecock Hills, and consultants.
I didn't want to let go of that. How are you all?
Good,
Very good.
Good, Rob.
Did I misunderstand before? Did you have an 11 o'clock meeting?
No, I think it
Oh.
was Jim Walker.
Okay, I thought I heard you say you did
No,
as
I
well.
joked that I would cover for Jim.
I'm sure he would greatly appreciate
He
that.
probably wouldn't mind if I did a good job.
True. Got what
Gets
he
to
wanted.
He would. So, of course, I just brought up the wrong file, too. Where did the right file go?
Jim took it.
You might have two files here, like one on top of the other. It's hard to tell.
No, I had a big engineering plan on top of it. This is kind of embarrassing.
These here?
I have it on the screen.
Rob, you want these?
Yeah, I'll just use that, but I am a little worried about what just happened to my file.
Uh-oh.
It seemed to be at my seat. But let me deal with this first. So, probably the easy way to do this is the engineers depicted this kind of in 3 stages as an existing, and then sort of a mid-construction, and then a final construction. So-
It's not gonna get much better, though.
Yeah, you can do it one at a time, James. If you just kind of zoom in on that, I can
That's where we are
hold
now,
up
Jim.
the same thing here. So this is the same site that you all just looked at within the past couple of months for the
Yep.
maintenance work on the floating docks and the bulkhead. And James can, not just yet, but I'll ask James to pull up just a photo so you can take a look at it. But basically, there's an existing concrete boat ramp which extends down to the seaward edge of this dashed area. And that's the area that they're proposing to fill. Yeah, so that ramp starts there and then goes all the way down to the right
Seaward.
to seaward to where this line is drawn. And the basic concept here is that they're taking a old concrete boat ramp and turning it into a bulkheaded elevated boat launch.
So they can use a travel lift.
Correct.
They're not gonna use a trail
It's,
to go in and out of the water.
so the travel rails that are there are being removed also.
Yeah.
So this is basically just becomes a spot where they can hoist the boat directly down and jumping to part 3, but you're
So
forcing me to
when
jump
they-
it.
When they remove that concrete slab and they make it up to grade,
Correct.
they're gonna that's where they're gonna back up the boat from the travel lift to wash the bottom. So
Well, to actually launch the boats. So there's going to be a concrete launch pad constructed at the seaward end of
Yeah,
this.
but you're gonna have to have some type of drainage in there, because that's where they're gonna wash the bottoms when they take them out.
A containment vessel like they
Yeah.
did at Hampton Watercraft.
Yeah, so they're gonna have to, you're gonna have to do that,
Okay,
which is no big deal.
okay. But pulling back a second, so the idea is that they're not filling any natural bottom. The only bottom that's being filled here is what's currently concrete. And that'll be demoed and removed to the maximum extent that they need to install the piles.
It's actually good, because the water won't wash down there and go into the water from the parking lot.
Correct. So this is, this is how it looks. You want to pull up, James, do you have a photo? I think I probably submitted photos with the application.
Of the
Yeah.
launch?
There it
That's-
is.
That's a lot
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah.
So just gonna raise the grade
Yeah.
Correct.
and change the angle so that it's flush.
Okay, so the water doesn't wash down in there when it rains.
And those two rails that you see get removed,
Right.
and then this here becomes your new configuration. So the waterway that's to the side of where the ramp is, I don't know, if you can blow it up a little bit, you can see this old bulkhead. There's some space between the bulkhead and the travel rail that will continue to remain waterway, because again, the only area that's being filled is the existing concrete. And then in the final configuration, you'll have the launch pad here, with the steel pad at the edge, and then a ramp and float. And this is basically just for temporary servicing of the boat, so they'll go into the water and then they have a float that they get tied up to before launching.
Are they extending the pad at all, Rob?
They're not.
So they're just,
So-
it's basically as if it's getting like lifted up
Correct.
right in place?
Well, that's a good way to describe it, actually. If you just imagine being able to take the existing,
Like a bridge.
yeah, like a bridge, if that could lift up.
Okay.
And the idea of that was just for you and the DEC, for all the agencies, that there just be no naturally existing bottom. I mean, not that it's,
Productive.
an estuary on display in there or anything,
Yeah.
but the idea is that the bottom that's been historically developed with this concrete ramp is the same exact area, no more, no less, that would be developed with this launch pad.
And you're removing the rails on both sides?
Right, so both those travel rails get removed. The bulkhead that you're looking at there on the right gets removed in place. I mean, it's a bulkhead, it's really, it's basically like jetty construction. There's not gonna be any backfill on the wetland side of that. There's a private property on the other side. You can see where
Really
James is
healthy
hovering. There's a
wetland.
bunch of extensive wetlands that go down there. So there's no fill or anything proposed to that. That's
You just
just.
put a new one in, right?
That's just
That's-
in kind, in place, except that it won't be CCA timber. And then and of course, there's some new bulkhead construction, just because you have to create the new sections of bulkhead to form that space, because that, once that's lifted, obviously, it has to be retained.
Would you have to put that bulkhead back into the north?
For
Well,
here,
Yeah.
You might
Oh.
want to, because that would keep the boats from going over.
Oh,
into the
definitely, yeah.
wetlands. It
yeah,
keeps it deep.
yeah, absolutely.
Not, fill back in.
It's
and-
it's what actually forms the usable slip.
Yeah.
So it'd be like having it would be having like any boat basin or boat slip without a structured side.
And removing it would change the whole wetland situation here, because
Yeah.
that wetlands would migrate or maybe dissipate somewhat from the removal of the
Yeah.
bulkhead.
It wouldn't have the protection of that bulkhead, so that would, unrelated to this project, just with Ann's concern with the wetland would then be more exposed to potential erosion on that side.
Could you wind back that bulkhead a bit? Does it need to come the whole way
Well, it
out
matches
to
the other
match?
side.
No, I understand.
It's a commercial establishment, so they're gonna have to retain what they need for it to
Yeah.
be able to
Protection.
function.
And it is also, it's all on private bottom too, so it's not an extension out into the public waterway. The basin's actually contained within the
Right.
parameters of the property line.
Yeah, I think that you're gonna have to maintain consistency with that, or you're gonna have problems.
And launching large boats there on a windy day, that bulkhead does break down the wave action. and
Yep.
Allow you
Yeah.
to easily retrieve and put the boats in and out.
And you do
You
have a
can,
thriving
you can see
wetland.
where on the other side is very shallow.
Yeah.
with that bulkhead saving it, saving the wetlands.
Well, it's also dredged in there too, and it keeps it deep.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you remove that bulkhead, it would fill in and it would be a constant dredging, maintenance dredging.
And that's the other element to this too, is that they are gonna maintenance dredge inside the basin itself. So again, not out in the public waterway, but just strictly within the.
On their own-
on their own property,
Well,
correct.
within the confines of a commercial marina, which is
Correct.
important for maintenance.
Yeah, this is basically the second phase of Strong's sort of modernizing and upgrading this, historically established site.
Cleaning it up.
We talked a lot about the history during the last application process, so I don't want to go into all that again, but
Okay, you got it.
Is,
same spot.
that will be muck that they'll be dredging, right? Not sand?
It'll be a combination of sand and silt.
Where's it gonna go?
It's just going to be retained for backfill behind the bulkhead.
Oh,
On
because I
site.
was gonna say, if there was possibility for it to go to the end of the road, either at Mill Pond or Far Pond.
You know, if it's
but-
got a lot of organics in it, it's gonna be difficult to,
No, put it where the launching ramp is gonna be.
Yeah, it's all slated,
Yeah.
so.
they got it all
Just down the
planned, you got it all planned.
No.
So,
it's used
so
for
basically what the engineer is showing is that dredge material will be used as backfill for
Oh, to
the
make the
in-place
pad.
replacement of the bulkheads.
Okay.
And then there's clean sand and clean angular stone that's filled just to create a solid base underneath the launch itself. So that organic material probably won't be used as backfill below the new launch, but it will be used as backfill mixed with sand behind the bulkhead, the upland bulkhead side that's gonna be replaced. I suspect they'll probably end up doing this work in connection with the bulkhead replacement that was covered on the other permit. I know
Same time.
they were pretty anxious to get the
Yeah.
permit for the floating docks. But I wouldn't be surprised if all the bulkheading work is basically done at the same
Yeah,
time.
once you get a contractor there.
Yeah.
I cleaned it up a lot.
And make sure there isn't something I'm missing. No. So that's really it.
Okay.
Well, it looks like a good plan, cleaning up the whole area, so removing some of the old treated lumber and creosote lumber that's there and putting new non-treated vinyl, which is good.
So what's our next step?
Advance it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you have, these
Yeah,
are
stamp
engineer stamp
plans.
plans.
yeah.
If you find them.
We have our copy.
And my copy.
Rob just can't find his copy.
He'll find it, he'll find it.
I'm sure it's sitting right there for some
Maybe
reason.
it's
I'm
in
just-
the car. Billy went and looked.
Thanks, Billy. Maybe
Advance
Billy-
it.
Maybe Billy took them.
He's gonna do your project now.
Billy only has
Walking
some
out with
skinny
us, but
files.
With a white tube.
Are you able to do Beretta and then cut me loose, or do I need to go back to my workstation?
What do you wanna do?
Bill has Beretta on for final advancement.
Tony Beretta?
Not Tony. It was one you
Well,
had,
that's-
you had approved the plans and the application basically in concept, it just needed the
That's
engineer's
a different
stamp plans.
section. Do we have what we need?
Yeah.
I can pull it up quickly if you.
We have what we need, and we
Yeah.
probably
Then
don't
you don't
need
need
you.
me to stay.
Yeah.
No,
All right.
you don't need
It was
to.
just,
No,
it was just a
because-
stamped version of
You
what
just-
you'd
it just-
already okayed.
As long
Yeah.
as you provided what we requested and
We
we
did.
see that,
Yeah.
you don't have to
Yep.
speak to it.
There were no outstanding substantive issues. It was just you needed the stamped
You
plans.
don't go look for your other plans.
Yes,
Thank
we don't want you to lose anything else.
I'll be sure to keep you updated.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
They are
Fire
stamped. We're good for that.
Okay.
All right.
So you want to advance that one while we're on?
Well, yeah, if you want. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Got that?
Paul Wexler, 33 Carmel Point Drive, Enviro Permits, Inc.
Hello again.
Good afternoon, morning, whatever it is, almost afternoon.
Almost, not quite.
we're here to look at, to move the terminus end of the existing town and DEC-approved seasonal pier boat lift structure to within 15 feet of the riparian rights property line. Riparian rights property line determined by Keith M. Wochuk, land surveyors. So,
Yes.
Clay, want to give us a little overview of what's going on here and why we're
Talking about riparian rights.
talking about riparian rights and
Riparian rights is the joint property line of any two property owners in the state of New York. It is covered under New York State regulations and field and streams. There's 5 ways of determining it, and 4 of them are attributed to freshwater streams and rivers, and 1 is attributed to saltwater environments and docks and piers and the salt waters of the state of New York. The easiest way to describe a riparian rights is if you lived on a canal, and at the end of the canal was 1 house and 2 houses were on either side, each homeowner has a projected property line, and that would go straight off his property line. So the question comes up, who has the right to put their boat at that point? I mean, it's not directly this, but I want to discuss what riparian rights does. So, you have two property owners, each of them claim to have the full use of their bulkhead, but they don't. They have 45, you take the 90, you divide it in 45, and you have the riparian rights property line. In this situation, you have 2 homeowners that come up this way, and you want to know where each property owner has the right to put that boat. So that's what it comes out to. So,
you want to
That's fine, when it comes back.
So basically, right now, there's currently a dock there. It's
yes, there's a seasonal aluminum pier, I call it a pier, that projects out from the shoreline, that's been there for a number of years, and a number of DEC permits and a number of town permits. And as the siltation from the adjoining properties moves to the left, it becomes, the present position of the boat that becomes non-usable.
So you want to you want to re-angle this structure then so that it goes more towards the northwest, right? So the proposed structure is the one that's more towards the top of the screen, and the present structure is the one that goes straight out? Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct.
correct.
Now,
That's,
I don't know, that's going against the extended property lines.
yeah, that's over the Blue Book.
That's within 10 feet.
It's over.
It's over, looks like it's
in front
over.
of the other property.
So how's that gonna work?
I don't,
So it's in
This is
front
what
of and within.
we have. All right? Which you have a copy of the larger one, if you need it, without anything on it. This shows the riparian rights of all the property owners that are in that area.
No, but we set the guidelines in terms of where on our bay bottom it is that we cite docks, right? We've been doing this forever,
Yeah,
right?
you have
We
to be
don't,
10 feet off of your extended property line, which
Right,
is
which
not
it's not.
shown on here.
It's 10 feet off of the riparian property line, which gives each homeowner equal use of that piece of property that is, you have jurisdiction over. So it's not
So
off the...
I don't think this is,
You're confusing us.
right, yeah, let's stick to Blue Book.
The reason you wanna move it because it's getting too shallow over there. And
Yes.
you wanna swing it around. So stay with that. Forget about all the other stuff, because you got enough room on, you're 15 feet away from it.
No, it's not. Well,
No.
this is
No, he's
not
over the
correctly
extended
shown.
property
The
line.
extended property line
He's
should
over,
go
so you're
straight.
gonna have to move it over.
See it, see the way it angles?
Yeah.
The original dock was 10 feet or 15
It's
feet
10
off
feet off
the extended property line.
the property line.
What's the pier line here?
135 feet.
What's the length of this dock as it stands now?
Currently,
Yeah.
it's like 150 feet.
We gotta
You gotta focus on it,
We
that
gotta-
it's
we,
shallow, that's why you gotta move it.
Yeah, we have to focus on our Blue Book regulations and what's going on
So
here.
that's what I was trying to do.
We
I
can
was trying to
extend
say, if you can
pier.
extend it,
to
Is-
to
if
achieve it,
it's-
but then that's not within your Blue Book.
Yeah, it's
right,
beyond.
so it doesn't work with pier line.
So the plan, this plan doesn't work because it's the extended property line issue, and then the other plan doesn't work.
It does work if you go by the state law.
We go by the Blue Book. We go by our regulations on where we cite things on our bottom, and we need to maintain consistency. The state, as we talked about with the elevation agreements that they allow, is different than what we do locally. The state also has to take into consideration that the property that they're on is the trustee's property, so we like to have a say in where these things go.
Of course.
So we need to take a harder look at this, other than just, painting with some brush of some rights that are violating principles that the trustees have held in the Blue Book regulations. So we need to take a harder look at. And in the past, we've had to increase pier lines, have public hearings, and increase pier lines where, things have changed and it wasn't working out.
In site-specific areas.
Correct.
right? In
We'd be
Correct.
glad
And-
to
Limited.
do that.
Right, so we have to take a harder look at this overall, this whole area overall, as things are changing here.
James, can you
It changes within weeks.
hold it?
It is unbelievable.
Again?
No.
If you've been down there, it is filling in at such a rate, it's like inches per week.
Well, I think there's a small stream that transects this little
Yeah.
peninsula, right? It goes the whole way across.
Yes, there is.
So I think that's what we're looking at, and that stream feeds the pond. That's a really healthy
That's what
ecosystem
the
on
source
that
is.
point. And if we need to look at an increase in pier line, perhaps we need to do that for this property, given that stream's presence.
Yeah, because we can't be violating the other principles of the consistency that we've maintained in the Blue Book. We gotta take a little bit more of a holistic look, to your point, based on the site specifics.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the property prior to the storm that we had around Christmas time, there was multiple issues with sand being deposited here.
Right.
The property to the west, the Lim property, which had a bluff, was compromised with the stone that was there, was compromised with the wave energy and the tidal surge, and all that material has been pulled into the bay.
Yes.
And Common Point, as it was back in the 50s and 60s, was much longer and narrower. Now it's shorter and
Shorter.
stouter, and the
Branching
material's
out.
moving out. I would opt for a public hearing extending the property line, extending the pier line
For this
over
property.
this riparian rights, because the riparian rights or our rules and regulations is the extended property line.
Right.
And we've, 17 years on the board, and that's how we've done business here, as far as 10 feet off the extended property line.
Okay.
These riparian rights could get really controversial if the applicant and if the person next door is having an application to put a dock in, and there's another dock on a property further down. It's going to be basically putting 3 docks in like a teacup, and they're
Yes.
all going to go into each other. And I'd rather stick with this dock extended out to the north instead of going to the north and northwest with the projected property line.
structure.
That would be
Riparian
agreeable.
rights.
James, can you just draw
Well-
back a little bit? So there is a property with a dock just to the west.
Yes.
Do we need to look at both these structures?
Probably
It's not
should.
Because, like, I'm looking
Like he
at,
has enough water.
They're
I'm looking-
they're seasonal docks, both of them.
Right.
Yeah.
But you
They're-
should probably look at the whole area.
Right.
If
Well-
it's changing so rapidly and has changed so
It's
much, it
unbelievable.
probably just like we looked at
'Cause-
sections.
We do have a application before us for a dock in between these 2 docks. That's
Right.
why I'm bringing this up.
You
we-
approved that one, I believe, right?
No, we were in the process of reviewing it. There were some questions that we didn't get cleared up at the
We-
last hearing, so we asked them to get the material and bring it
So
back.
we should look at this whole area then.
Yes.
What we did in Bay Point was to look at specific tax map
Right.
numbers, I think, right, James?
Okay.
Yeah, I
when
don't
we
think you're gonna use
extended-
the whole area, because it's only this corner here that's.
Yeah, just
Oh, no,
the
I'm just saying-
affected properties.
Yeah, like probably 3 or 4 properties right in that sort of,
If you
Cove.
if you move out further, you could
If you
see the
draw
other
back.
docks.
You-
And when you move west, the pier line is still 135 feet, but that does accommodate docks. In this area, because of the erosion and accretion into the bay, they're losing their ability to utilize their docks, so.
So let's set a pier line that makes sense based on the current conditions that are going on
Yeah.
right now.
for,
For those, I would
For
say,
that section.
well, I
for
would say
property,
between this property and
this one.
the 3 properties here.
We did similar to West Hampton, didn't we?
Yeah,
Hey, Ed, we also might want to discuss and have one common dock with 3 boats, so 3 lifts.
not in this area, Billy.
I know, it's a tough area.
Yeah, no, I think
The
that,
re-
that,
the
that,
re-
It's a tough area
residents-
since Claire moved.
Some of the
I think-
some of the residents don't quite get along.
I think
here.
it's, I think it's a pier, I think it's a public hearing and
Yeah,
a sensible
yeah.
pier line adjustment like has been done in other
Yeah.
areas of the town, so that it's done the right way. We don't have the violations of the extended property lines, and there's rhyme and
Yeah.
reason to the
So,
situation.
so Clay, I think to have you do a little bit more further research is to take the mean high water mark and go out to a point where there's like, it gets deep pretty quickly, so like 4 feet of water, and then we'll figure out the distance of that
Okay.
on these couple of properties here. And then I'd rather have the dock longer now, because I know the environment's gonna keep filling in.
It's gonna
and
keep filling in.
Filling in. So if we do a longer pier line,
We'll get more time.
we'll put the dock in closer where it conforms to our rules and regulations.
Right.
But eventually, if it needs to be moved out, it would be just an amendment to the permit. Would that be a good way to go with it?
I think so, Ed.
Rather than build it so long.
Yeah,
Okay.
initially.
Okay.
So, back to the drawing board on this, because
So-
it's
so-
gonna require a public hearing.
So I would
No,
need.
I already know where it is.
So,
I know where it's got to go.
so I would need you to give me some water depths there, Beth.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and then we
Now,
would,
do you need them by a surveyor? or-
Yes.
yes,
We need
Okay.
official hydrographic.
yeah.
And we
Okay.
need them for
I'll
significant
get the
length
same
of
surveyor in
shoreline.
there,
Yeah,
and we'll have, he may already have them.
okay. Well, I mean, would we do from like,
So the subject property, so 1, 2, 3, 4 to the.
4 properties?
4
to-
properties to the northwest.
I want them
I
for
would do
4
one more
properties.
over, because that might get, as the time goes, that's gonna get, it's gonna
I
go
mean,
more to
you
the
can,
north.
So 4, so
I do one more
including,
property over.
no, I said 4.
So you want, which 4 properties? The one with
So
the
the
2
sub-
piers on either side?
yeah, why don't we start, it used to be Hidden Cove, the little housing area there. I'll sit with James. and
Give me the property names.
Give the property names and tax map numbers.
Good.
And then we'll segregate it out, because there's a seasonal dock, then there's a permanent dock, and then there's another permanent dock,
Permanent
and then there's a vacant property, and then there's
That
another dock.
subject.
Yeah, so I'll
Okay.
come up with the area that needs to be looked at, and have the bathymetric surveys done.
Okay.
Let's
And
take a look at the.
when would this public hearing be scheduled?
Well,
The
It
soonest
depends
then-
on when you get the bathymetry.
when I get the
Couldn't even really give you,
back.
we couldn't really even give you a time right this second. We're too preliminary here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Too
okay.
preliminary to give you
Yeah,
a time.
So there's 2 and then the public
Get the
hearing.
information back, we'll work up a schematics, and I'll get it back to you, and then we can present that to us at our next work session, and at that point, if we have all the information for the public hearing, we could schedule the public hearing for the next meeting after that.
Right, do you need to stamp plans by that hearing?
Well,
No.
no.
Okay.
No,
No.
no,
You
because
just
things
need
could
to-
get adjusted, so.
We just need
Yeah,
the
that's what I'm
bathymetric.
thinking. All right,
Wait till the very
Well,
end, that way.
I'm trying to give the most longevity out of this,
well, that's,
For the whole area,
For
though,
the
that
whole
way we
area.
don't solve one problem,
right.
create another problem, and then,
Yeah.
let's see.
No, I
We've
can
done
see
this in
that.
the past,
Yeah.
it just,
Yeah.
all
way
right,
to
thank
do
you,
it.
sirs.
All right, thank you.
And ladies?
Scott,
Bye.
Tom Kramer has a request. He's got a doctor's appointment. He
okay,
could,
come on up.
he's asking if he can,
Which one is this?
this is 46 Basket Net under Parish.
Okay.
I appreciate you
Of
taking me.
course, no worries.
Okay?
We're sorry
Get
we
you-
were delayed with our
Get you on your way,
executive
get you on
session.
your way.
Thank you very much. This is a fairly straightforward one. Well, my name is Thomas Kramer, principal firm of Kramer Consulting Group. with
Please
office-
sign in there.
54 North Country Road, Miller Place.
James, can you blow that up a little? Thank you.
Just received a notice of non-compliance on January 5th, 2023.
Yeah, so, the notice of non-compliance was for a 4x16 or 4x18 foot deck
4 by
that got
16.
redecked without a permit. And then the vegetation wasn't planted, which has now been planted according to the agent. And then what was the other thing?
The 20-foot east timber return was not built.
Right, so they tied it into the bulkhead instead of doing a return. So, really, the only thing for this modification is to allow the decking. that
To
was-
legalize the decking?
Legalize the decking and to
Is-
remove the
Return.
return from the permit.
Is it non-treated material that was used? What was used on the decking?
It was vinyl or it's untreated, yes.
Is it through
plastic.
flow?
Excuse
Is
me?
it through flow that was used
No,
on
it's
it?
just regular decking.
Timber
Plastic.
Tech or whatever it is?
Timber Tech, yeah.
You have a picture of it?
Let's see.
And do you have a picture of the plantings too that were done?
I don't think we, at the time when I submitted, they didn't have the plantings done.
Right, you just emailed us and said that was done.
Right.
George did not go out to check if the plantings were done, because I think he was waiting for the modification to be approved before he.
That was, the plantings were required under the original permit.
Yes.
And so the plantings were done in March, I believe, prior to the expiration of the permit.
Right.
She
But-
thought that, once the bulkhead was done, she thought that she was through the project, so it was her mistake.
But we have no, will George go back out then again?
He will need to go
Okay.
back out to.
Okay.
Yeah.
to
So he'll
sign off on
confirm,
that.
he'll confirm.
He'll confirm the plantings, yeah,
Okay.
so that's what he'll go out for.
Okay.
Now, he put on there, and Mr. Kramer maybe can advise us on it, but he put on the 4x18 foot walkway, and you put on your application for 4x16 foot. So I was just wondering who the,
I took that off the survey.
I think George made a typo.
Yeah.
George said 4x18?
He has,
Because on the
notice
cover
of
sheet,
non-compliance, it says 4x18.
because on the cover sheet, it says 4x16. What do the plans say?
Plans say 4x18, because that matches the 16.5,
16.5.
yeah. Existing deck, which was scaled off because the survey didn't have it on it.
A foot and a half off here,
That,
couple feet off.
so, yeah, I guess as long as we can confirm with George that it was 16.5, not.
Yeah, the survey didn't have the size of the deck on it, and it was scaled off of the,
So it's actually smaller than what it's supposed to be. It's
Oh, yeah,
small.
according to, yes.
We just
according
need to confirm that then,
right.
to see what
You
the
could do
actual
that easy
size
enough.
is, yeah.
um,
So the planting and the actual size of the,
The planting's been done, I'm told, we just need to get photographs of it.
right,
Okay, yeah,
just
that's good.
confirmation.
So, just good to advance?
Just one request is the application itself has a lot of wording,
Excess.
explanation of why they did stuff. I think that all we really need is the
basic- The
size of the
details.
deck.
Yeah.
That's exact, which is 16.5, to legalize the redecking of this 4x16 the removal of the return, whatever size return it was, and that's all we really need for the modification.
You just note it and, yeah.
So all the rest of it can be taken off that cover sheet, so it's not
Confusing?
Yeah. Is that okay, Tom?
Yeah, that's fine.
So we good to advance?
It's good to advance.
Okay.
Okay, again, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Who's up next?
Is it you? Yes.
You got 310,
There's
310 East.
310 East
Yeah.
Montauk Highway.
Juno. Turf and Engineering.
I know.
Good, how are you?
Good. Sign on this, correct?
State your name for the record, sign in.
My name is Gabriel Gombana with Shepard Engineering. We're doing the as-built for 310 East Montauk Highway. The homeowner was under the impression that the bulkhead, it was falling apart, and for repairs or modifications, small modifications, he didn't need a permit. He did all the work, and we were retained to go in and just kind of inspect it, make sure it all structurally works. He did match the vinyl sheathing of his neighbor. And then he still kept the 15-foot buffer that was in the original survey or previously permitted.
Originally, this bulkhead was put in without a permit.
Correct.
It came to light during a storm that it got ripped out. So I'm assuming that you guys engineered a better bulkhead. This is pictures of the bulkhead after the storm. What happened to it? So I'm hoping that it's a better engineered bulkhead this time than it was
Well, we got
previous.
stamped engineered plans, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Right, you sign in for the record?
Yeah, I was gonna understand.
Yes,
I was
they are
looking at them.
stamped.
Okay, so we have stamped plans by an engineer, so,
Yeah, that's Mark Shippert.
right, so this should be,
The only one
This had no
question,
permit originally, Ed?
no, the original bulkhead was permitted.
Okay.
They put the bulkhead in front of it without a permit. During the storm of December, it got blown out.
wow.
So now they've redid it again without a permit, and they're coming in for an as-built permit. My only one question for you is that on the survey that you provided us, it does not depict the Shinnecock Beach Road, which is on this survey. I don't know if you have another survey, but on all the surveys along this, from Crab Road, 300 feet west of Crab Road to Far Pond, all the surveys we've asked to have the Shinnecock Beach Road shown on it.
Okay,
So that would be something that's important.
got it.
Yes.
So, is it a surveyor that we generally,
Yes, the survey depicts the Shinnecock Beach Road, and they've given us a survey here.
they've done this, who did this?
I have
These folks?
Meets and bounds
These?
survey, and it had gotten the original map of the amended map A of the westerly part of Shinnecock Hills. So that should have,
All right, so we'll
The
have to
Shinnecock
send you,
Beach.
let's hold this until they provide the proper survey,
Yep.
the proper
Okay.
notations on it.
Yeah,
So
'cause
proper
it's a float,
survey.
it's a floating vinyl.
You can handle that, right?
Yeah,
yes, yep,
Okay,
yeah, it's,
so that's, put that on your list, you're gonna need to get that, because this survey,
provide the survey to show Shinnecock Bay Road,
Yeah.
Shinnecock Beach Road,
Beach Road.
on the, yep.
depicted appropriately on the survey.
Yep. And everything else, the buffer and everything else is, and the stone is everything is good that we would ask. So I'm gonna hold that until we receive that part of the,
Call the surveyor.
survey.
Okay, will do. And then after
Well,
this,
there is another, there's an.
older
sur-
survey, correct?
Yeah, that shows it.
But we need the one that's going with this project,
Yeah.
though, right? They
Yeah.
need to, they should have
Yeah,
probably,
This is from
The latest, yeah.
Who
we
did
need
this
it.
one?
Low.
that's a different,
Yeah, no, I'm just showing you that there is a.
right, but that one doesn't have
Reputed,
it.
road line, and it's right very clearly on this survey.
From another so just have this surveyor
Is
update that.
was
That meets and bounds up there.
Yeah, because that local, he probably did not use a local survey, so he had no idea.
Yeah, he's a little bit out west, but yes.
All right, so you handle that,
Got it.
Yep.
get it over to James, and then we'll take it from there. Because we can't, we can't advance this one until we have that.
Okay, and then
Right.
we come back for another hearing, correct?
Once you have that in, then, whose is this?
We look at it, make sure we have all the proper paperwork,
Yeah,
and then
we'll
we,
put it on
Trustee
for the
Warner.
next work session.
Yeah.
Trustee Warner will facilitate,
yep.
but get that to James as soon as you can get that from the surveyor.
Okay, will
Okay.
do. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Sunset Point Enterprises LLC, 130 Point Mecox Lane, Bridgehampton, First Coastal. Billy. This is for a to modify. Oh, do you want to talk about it?
No, I was just introducing Billy Mack, First Coastal. Waiting for you.
Oh, this is for a change. It's to change a 30 by 4-foot catwalk to a 100 by 4-foot catwalk and to remove an existing timber walk. The catwalk will be elevated 3.5 feet above grade with treated materials and open grate decking for the catwalk and stair treads. So this project was originally approved with an existing timber walkway that was on grade, now coming back for the elevation, but the elevation will go over the Conservation Board jurisdiction. So we requested an advisory letter, and the May 2nd Environment Division field inspection for the proposed catwalk revealed that both state and town regulated wetlands and adjacent Swan Creek shorelands have been cleared and modified by soil/loam deposition for the purposes of establishing lawn. The affected areas are encumbered by a covenanted naturally vegetated wetland, non-disturbance, non-fertilizing buffer, the entirety of which has been largely destroyed. Accordingly, Sunset Point Enterprises plans dated February 15th, 2022, last revised January 20th, 2023, are not reflective of current site conditions, and a administrative wetlands permit application has been separately filed with the town on March 17th, 2023, in order to manage existing phragmites. However, the permitting of such activities is not being entertained, as the application and plans need to be modified to call for full reclamation of the pre-existing natural terrain and vegetated cover. In light of the above, any permitting of the proposed catwalk and dock should be held in abeyance until the affected shorelands have been fully restored.
And you say,
And I say yes, we're in the process of submitting a restoration plan for the property. I believe it's a new property owner who wasn't aware, or somebody wasn't aware
Okay.
of something, so they're bringing it up to speed
Okay.
with respect to restoring, and then we'll come back and.
right, so
revisit this.
let's hold this until
Yeah.
we get to where
Obviously,
it all works for
couple
everybody.
hurdles
That way,
to do.
yeah, because otherwise it's
Doesn't make sense.
it's not gonna, right.
Yep, yep,
As long as you're on it and you,
totally.
okay?
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you, appreciate that.
Thanks, Mr. Mack.
We got one
Thank you
more.
guys very much. Oh, one more?
Okay, do you have another one?
Mr. Parrish?
Oh,
Yeah,
I do.
400 Dune Road.
sorry, Lisa,
Oh,
you're
400
next.
Duna, yep. Okay. This is a pre-existing bulkhead. And, on file.
Reconstruct in place approximately 144 feet of existing bulkhead. Increase top elevation of the bulkhead to L 6.3 feet. In parentheses, NAVD 88. No treated wood to be used. Place approximately 60 cubic yards of clean sand and pebbles within 10-foot landward of the bulkhead.
Yeah.
The plan shows the existing elevation at 3.5 feet. And you want to raise it to 6.5.
So, this, yeah.
36 inches is fine.
So
It's 3
just,
feet.
so just for the record,
Yeah.
if you pull up the aerial, this is the property that is the bulkheaded portion to the west, excuse me, to the east
How high? do
of
you
the
say
living
you are?
shorelines, isn't it, Billy, or is it, no, I'm wrong,
that's
I'm wrong.
incorrect.
Sorry,
18 inches.
I'm wrong.
Different area.
I'm wrong about the location. And what did you say about 18
I
inches?
was just confirming with Andrew in my office, the requested raise of the bulkhead should note 18 inches, not whatever was depicted in the plan, or the description of the plan.
We plan, let's make a deal starting with a
Yeah.
gigantic number.
Well,
He wants 18 inches, so he's gonna start with 3 feet.
That's what we
Yeah,
said
no,
when we came in.
No, and there
I
was
just
this
wanted to
whole
clear that.
thing that shows that this particular property gets flooded quite often. The owner pushed us to do that, and,
What, 36?
yeah. So we're realizing that that's not very realistic, and we're willing to do.
Right, yeah, I
starting at
mean-
18.
Yeah. What do you want to do, trustee Parish?
9 inches.
This is a property, this is a bulkheaded property that has properties to either side that do not have any bulkheads. There is some revetment, I believe, to the west as well as to the east, Billy?
Right,
Is there revetment on the toe
There's,
of that?
on the west side, there's a permitted stone revetment.
Right, for
On
several
the east side,
properties.
they have something there. It's noted on a survey as a little elevated curve. It looks like it wants to be a bulkhead, but I don't think it is.
Yes. What's that? Why is it so bad?
Yeah, no, it's only,
Yeah, you can see it says, well, no, it's not even shown on this particular survey. On the property owner survey to the east, there is a structure there, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. That area is very beachy and doesn't get inundated. This property is one of the old properties, and
Well, you and James get to look at this one. You get to look at this one.
no, we haven't been out there.
I think that, based on what's going on.
Yeah, let's
you're gonna
meet.
You're gonna have to get over there.
This is the one where the guy used to land a helicopter on.
no, but it looks like it wants to, right?
Yeah, right, for sure. There's a big sand platform there.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah, so you can see on that eastern side, see that edge? Yeah, so there is something there. I don't know what it is.
Right, but we need to know, so I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
let's hold this,
Okay.
and let's get like a time coordinated between trustee
Yeah, but I'm
Parish,
happy to meet you on site.
environmental analyst, Mr. Durier,
Good.
and let's get some better intel before we
Yeah.
move,
'Cause-
start spinning our wheels around.
James, draw back a little bit. There's a point to the east here,
Yeah,
and then a point to the west as well.
yes, in a
The
cove.
all those properties to the west are pretty much bulkheaded the whole way around on the bay side, but to the east, there's a fair amount of sediment movement, I would imagine.
That's
Um,
accreting there. So it's interesting that from, that, this applicant's property here to the east, those properties are actually gaining when they're losing on the other side. So the sand is all shifting to that side of the cove.
All right, so you'll,
So we'll meet
you'll
together.
coordinate,
Yeah, good.
hold it.
I think that's it.
That's it for you, but we still have a
Thank you.
person
guys.
waiting
Yes.
patiently for their
Thank you,
turn.
Lisa.
Back.
Or Lisa.
Or Lisa.
Here.
Twin Fork permits for 97 Cobb Isle Road.
97 Cobb Isle Road.
You're gonna sleep great tonight, Lisa.
Hanging out with us all day. Okay. This is,
At least you still have hair.
this is,
Where's all the dogs?
this is a project with in-kind, in-place replacement of existing bulkhead along Mecox Bay at 97 Cobb Isle Road. So it's 203 linear feet of bulkhead that will be replaced with vinyl pile, tropical hardwood timber whale, green heart timber piles, all untreated, with a buffer that will be native vegetation that will not be mowed or irrigated after the third season. This is right on Mecox Bay. Lisa, maybe you want to speak a little bit.
Lisa Poyer with Twin Forks Permits on behalf of the applicant. This is I think a straightforward application where it's an in-kind, in-place replacement of the existing bulkhead. It's in the middle of about 1,500 linear feet of other bulkheads along that eastern
Can you show the
facing
picture? Go ahead.
Mecox Bay area. It's at the terminus of Cobb
Yeah, where
Isle Road.
the houses across the street.
Oh, they're significant. And we're replacing it with vinyl bulkhead with non-treated other wooden materials to help support the bulkhead.
At present, there's lawn right up to the edge of the bulkhead, so
There's
this
actually
will be
a narrow strip of beach grass there right now.
Right.
And we're proposing to do a 5-foot buffer there.
10. 10 is what our regulations call for,
Okay, we'll go back to the client.
so,
Well, they have enough lawn there, come on.
so 10 feet is what,
The
is
condition
what-
will be?
Yes.
Yeah, they always look
Yeah.
for 10, and if there's some boating use, or, if they can just,
Right.
use good judgment there, you know.
Yep. Do we need a planning plan for this, or?
It'll just be beach grass.
Cape
Right.
American Beach.
Are you
House.
gonna, are you
1 foot on
gonna,
center.
One
that
foot on
Plugs.
plugs.
so you'll amend your cover sheet and your plans depicting as such, or do you need to speak to your,
I will speak with the client first and then I'll get back to you.
so do you want us to hold this?
If you can move it forward based upon that condition,
What do you think, James?
I will resubmit plans as,
Yeah,
Plans showing a 10-foot buffer,
I can,
it would be nice to have some,
And we
some
need a
nice
cover,
grass.
we need a cover sheet too.
yeah,
that
matching cover sheet and
specifically
plans.
That's fine.
says,
Yep.
You're gonna need stamp plans too.
I
Yeah,
do
we already
have
have
one question about the proposed buffer zone will be native vegetation, which will not be mowed or irrigated after the third season. Does that mean that you're mowing before
no,
the third season?
that's what
Okay.
was, I was
It's just
asked.
the irrigation is the third season.
Right, just to make
Right.
sure it
Not the
thrives
mowing.
and
Yeah.
gets,
oh, I see. It won't be mowed ever, is that not
That's,
clear?
that.
Oh,
Cape
okay.
American
Yeah.
Beach grass.
It's
you
never
don't
mowed.
we're gonna be
Yeah.
sending a
Yeah.
mowing inspector.
Yeah, so it's just the irrigation portion
Yeah.
is, you
Okay.
have to
I just-
irrigate
maybe
it
they can
initially.
I was asked
but
specify
then-
that.
To
Yeah.
add that into
Boots
the
in.
cover sheet.
Yep,
I
and I
understand.
appreciate that.
But you'll be able to
That's fine.
provide what's Blue Book compliant by the next meeting, unless your client objects, but you'll advise them there's Blue Book compliance.
Correct.
Right, so
There, we have no latitude,
That's fine.
so it's
it's,
10
it's,
feet.
it's, you
I
know,
have to ask,
Yeah.
yeah.
so. I
And we have to
do.
follow our
We're good
rules.
here? All right, so
So can we
The
move?
plans are stamped, so.
You could-
So the
I will
new plans will
resubmit.
be stamped as
It-
well?
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
So you'll advance it,
Cover sheet,
Revised cover sheet and revised plans that will be stamped,
correct,
re-stamped, new plans.
I'm fine with that.
that's okay with you?
okay with you guys and something?
Yeah, it's good, it's good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks,
Lisa.
Lisa.
Thank you.
Now,
Sorry you had to wait
on
so
to the
long.
emotional rescue.
It's, no, it's advanced because they have stamped, but.
Yeah, we're advancing.
We'll
So
review
advanced.
before we put it on for that meeting. We'll take a look at it and make sure that it's.
Okay.
Yes.
meets
Yep.
what we.
Yeah, it's minor, which
Thank you,
needs to
Lisa.
be. On to the, you're welcome, thank you.
Thanks,
Take care, Bill.
We're on to the Emotional Rescue LLC, 14 Neomog Lane, Village of Quogue, for stamp plan determination. Do we have it? Mr. Durier?
1 second, let me just pull it up and confirm.
Mark, you're awfully quiet down there.
We do have a stamp.
I didn't hear him come back in.
We're good?
We're good.
Stamp plans, okay, so advance that. All right, we already discussed Beretta.
Yep.
You got Rogalin, Penland, Sen Lane, Tuckahoe.
Stamp.
Good?
Yep.
Trustee Pell, you good?
I'm good.
Okay. Brian O'Donohue, 17 Cormorant Drive, Hampton Bays. So Trustee Warner.
You got him?
Stamped.
Good.
All matching, James?
Yes.
Okay. Good to advance. You got 53 Far Pond, Theodore Clissus.
This is. That was in my box today, so I think we should have it.
Yep.
You good?
Yes.
Thank you, James.
And then you've got Trustee Parish has Christopher Jones, 916 Flanders Road, represented by Jeff Patanjo.
Oh, sorry. Stamped.
Move to advance it.
Okay. So that'll advance.
Now, maybe I missed it, but the inner science one, are you guys holding it because he left, or?
Which science?
373 Millstone Brook.
You were gonna hold that one.
Gonna hold that one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's on hold.
Do it next week. 2 weeks.
Now, we had exec session already. Does anybody have a need for further discussion? Okay. So, at this point in time, you okay, James?
Yes.
I will make a motion.
I have to, one real quick thing. The owner at adjoining Crab Road on the western side, the Walshes, have asked to cut down one of the trees that are there. I was there last week looking at it. It's 3/4 rotten. It had been trimmed because it had some electrical wires, so they were looking for permission from us to allow our contractor to come down and take the tree down. It needs to be done because it's all wrapped in the electrical wires. It's a maple tree, and if it grows back like it had previously, it'll rip everything down.
It's in bad shape.
It's in real bad shape. It's it's rotten. It's gonna fall
I have
apart.
no
I
trouble.
have no trouble. Mark?
As long as they have
You know that,
liability
Mark?
insurance.
Yeah, they're just looking to go across the trustee's easement, is that?
Yeah, they get access to the house off of Crab Road. There's two houses, and it's on the house on the west side, and it's right next to the fence and the electrical wires.
Yeah, you could do a letter of permission and hold harmless if you wish. That's up to the trustee's discretion.
You think it rises to that level?
No, I would just give them a say to go cut it, get a insured tree person, get us the name of the person, and make sure that we're secondarily insured or whatever
Yeah,
on that.
That's up to the trustees.
Okay.
as long as they have the liability insurance.
As long as they have insurance. Okay.
All right, Mark, you gonna
insured
handle that?
tree. Okay, I will take care of it.
What else do you folks have before we go into, you need exec session, correct? More exec session? Ann?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, so I'd like to thank everybody for their participation today. It's been a,
Before you close, when you go into the next exec session, just the purpose of the next exec session you want to state.
is
so that
this
you
a
can vote on
litigation or personnel issue, Ann?
it. Okay.
Potential, contract,
Yes.
legal advice, contracts?
Yes.
Okay, so make the motion for what it is and,
It's for contract. Let's go into executive session, please,
Okay,
for
so-
purposes of
okay.
contract.
Okay, so we'll,
Second?
motion to adjourn this meeting. Is there anybody on Zoom that's, no?
There's no Zoom.
No Zoom, that's right, it's work session. Okay, so, motion to adjourn the meeting, go into executive session for purposes of legal contract discussions. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, trustee Warner, all in favor?
All right.
All right. We adjourn.
All right, so Lisa and James, this is Green Street, 12 Green Street, Village of Sag Harbor, Upper Sag Harbor Cove. This needed to be discussed in work session because when George went to the property, help me with this.
I think you have the letter that he sent.
I gave it to Scott.
Okay, Scott has the letter that.
Yeah.
Scott, can I have that letter?
Yeah, I think this is it right here.
So, in response So this is the project manager for 12 Green Street in response to your reply to our extension request. So they applied for an extension for an already expired permit that they had renewed twice, I think, James, and then, so we did not construct this dock without a valid permit. The dock builder constructed the dock as per the approved permit, but could not resource enough material to complete the floating dock. When the material was available, it was too late in the season to install. It was recommended to me to wait until spring to install the floating dock, to complete the permit, and then call for an inspection of the work in its entirety. This apparently was bad advice. We apologize for that. We're requesting an extension only to close for inspection, not for any modifications. We ask that you reconsider this and approve our request. So this is from the project manager for this application.
So they're claiming that they needed more time to construct. However, they did not submit a renewal.
Renewal.
Because that would be proper.
Right, send a renewal.
Notification, submit the renewal,
Yeah.
say we need more time.
Right.
You know, a year, you get a year on the renewal.
Right.
They did not do that. It went past the 90 days, so it's past the 90 days, and now they're asking for an extension.
Oh, to the 90
We don't
days.
have that provision.
Right, so essentially when we responded and said you need to submit a new application so that you can get a proper
Right.
permit, so you have a proper permit for the inspection, he responded with that letter and said, asking for determination by the board.
Legal determination is we don't have a
So-
provision for what they
So
want, right?
also, in addition to this, the contractor is Wilson Garcia, who has made some determinations about when and.
Yeah, he's
when
been a
he
violator.
does- When he
Day one.
does
All
or
over the
does
place.
not
So-
require
so-
permits in the past
Right,
on
so
other properties.
Can Mr. McRedmond maybe reach out to this project manager or the party that's responsible for this to say, we don't have a provision for what you're asking for? You need to submit an application for this board now.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do it. I'm not even sure you need me to do it, just the office could respond
Okay.
to him and say, you know, we don't retroactively
We
Right.
already
renew
did-
permits.
That's the thing, we
once
already
they-
I
did
think,
that.
I think that's,
Oh, okay.
that's
And
why
now
we're
he's-
here.
Now
That's
he's
why
asking
we're,
for determination by the board.
right, it's a potential legal issue, which is why we're in this
You
discussion
could
now.
just fire off an email and say, the board met today, determined your issue, got to send us a new permit.
Yeah.
You can do that.
You know, I could do it, yeah. It's not-
Well, I think if they're already running
A
the
high
staff
legal.
around, if the legal department says, look, and then if he calls up, look, we don't have a provision for what you want.
Sure, I could email him and call him if you want.
Yeah,
Whatever
yeah, because
you
we
wish.
don't, we're just gonna keep going around in circles here.
Yeah,
Do you have
send
the
me all the info.
contact information?
Just a question before I do that, have the trustees ever in the past allowed retroactive extensions?
I don't
of
recall that.
permits?
No.
No,
Good.
no,
Glad.
we,
I don't ever recall doing that.
not when it's 90 day, that was, did we give a
Past
90
the
day?
90 days. So
Yeah,
They have
It's a
90
new
days
application.
after the expiration date to submit the renewal,
A
which
few
they did
days,
not do.
like 30 days or something.
Well,
we
Yeah,
have
so
done.
you're doing it all by the blue book, which
Yes.
is good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the dock builder's fault, because he should have finished the job.
Well, he's claiming he couldn't. There's part of a
Why
phone
is it
number
debated?
here for the project manager, not.
I mean, it's well past the 90 days, it's not like it's a couple of days after.
No, it's,
Here's
well,
email. Do we have contact info?
I can forward you the email chain,
Okay, that's great,
if
because
that works, and then
there's,
you have his
It's a-
email, or,
we don't,
there's nothing on the letter I see now that. there's-
Yeah.
As long as I have his
The- a
email.
phone number or
I'll
email.
fire
Doesn't
it
have
and
to
his
be
name and email would be great.
so I'll keep this file to go back to you guys, or does
You can
Mark
give it
need
back.
this file?
You can give it back to me.
Okay,
Essentially, that file is gonna be voided,
okay,
and he's gonna submit an as-built,
Okay.
permit application for the structure, essentially.
okay. The only other thing I have is, North Sea Road. Ed, you can weigh in on this, because you've had a fair amount of discussion on it as well. There is a proposed project by the county to repave North Sea Road from basically 7-Eleven in Southampton to, just north of where the Alewife drain goes under the road on North Sea Road. However, there is no plan as part of that project to make any change to the Alewife Drain culvert. And that culvert, I should have taken pictures of it, but right now it has, I'm sure all of you are familiar, there's an egregious amount of sedimentation from storm runoff that's flowing into on both sides of that area. So the Conic Baykeeper and Seatuck Environmental met with the county to see what could be done as far as upgrading that culvert and replacing it. They've found money and they're going to work with the county for permits for that, but they would like a letter of support from us. So I just wanted to make sure you guys were all cool with that, and then we'll
Yeah, this
put
is.
together a
this
letter
is-
of support.
This is a no-brainer. I mean, if they're gonna be doing a $16 million job, replacing the road and everything, and it would make all the sense in the world to replace that culvert, because it's cement, it's starting to crumble, on the sides of it, it's all getting washed in there, and it really, you know, it's the biggest LY run,
And they're supposed to do
state.
in the state.
They're supposed to do the one around the corner too.
Well, that was
That's
already
different.
approved, we already,
That's-
They
That's
haven't done it
town.
yeah, well, that's a town.
That's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
It-
Yeah.
Alex Greger, I spoke with him before he left office. He has the funding, he
Oh,
has
yeah,
the
has
design,
everything,
he has
yeah.
the engineering, all the
Yeah.
process. It's up to Charlie McCarthy to take that and
Yeah.
run with
McCart-
it. This though, that's town, this is county.
Yeah.
I
And the
realize
county's,
that, but I realize that, Ann, but it would be nice to get both of them done.
It would be.
right, but this is specifically referring to the county project because there's a timeline for that, so
Yeah, so
that's
get a
why I'm
plan. We
requesting
have
that.
anything else we want to discuss before we break?
Yeah, we're gonna be back into another meeting in less than 30 minutes.
No, but that's
So-
important, Bill.
Yeah, it is. So get a plan, we write a letter.
It's not, well, it's not, that's what I'm saying.
We
I'll
need a-
write the letter, but
We
I
need,
just would
we
like
need a
to.
letter to support
Okay.
them
so write
getting
a
the
letter.
plan.
Of course.
Write a letter and we'll take a look at it.
Of course.
And we go fishing down
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
there. Yeah,
We done for now?
That's all I have.
I'd say we're done until 1 o'clock, and then
Okay.
we'll blow through that.
blow through it. Some wind will come in the other direction, we'll be blowing backwards.
Mr. Parrish.
Yes.
Did you shoot out? We gotta get Mr.
My scribble
Montier.
stuff.
Yeah.
We gotta get Sean in to, did he respond to you? Sean Cambridge, because he's gotta have a conversation with Sean, so we're working on that.
Yeah.
Did he,
I have to follow up.
Could you follow up with him, because I wanna get him talking to Sean as soon as possible now that Jim and Matt are meeting.
Okay.
All right? I mean, I could call him, but you said you were gonna reach out, so I don't wanna, yeah, all right. Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and just get my lunch. So you guys
Oh, we got carrots.
We're done for now, buddy.
We're a
I'm
bunch of
sorry,
rabbits.
I didn't bring granola
We'll
bars.
see you
but
in,
You're welcome to as many carrots as you would like.
my dogs love carrots.
Oh, thank you, no.
They do?
Love them.
Your dogs do? Cooked? Cooked?
I just,
Cooked carrots? Raw ones?
these,
Really? That's so good for them.
We have a South Shore Estuary Reserve discussion at 1. That's gonna happen, okay.
Um,
Or should-
They,